It is rolling. The football show's killing it. I got a meeting next week with another streaming distributor. Thank you, brother. Means a lot. Really cool. This, oh my God, man. That's going to be off. Hey, dude, you've got to take pictures for me if you're going to tailgate and at the game like you did last year, man. That would go crazy. And tag the Eagles and the Jacob Media dudes for me. Oh my God, that would be huge, Trevor. Then you figure out one week, and you do that, you figure out one weekend, and I'll do a podcast for you. Hey, Bruno's sick, dude. Tony's sick, man. He got his second COVID shot. Hey, man, that's so good. Hey, Muhammad, did you win that jersey? Dude, did you win that jersey tonight? Not man. Hey, I like all you guys, man. You guys are fantastic on that show. I mean, you guys are fun to talk to, man. But trust me, I don't do that any longer, man. And I love talking to all you guys. It's a lot of fun. Dude, that is so killer, man. Dude, that is really great for you. I'm so happy. I even said it. I go, dude, Muhammad is he's the bomb, man. He comes on our show and he's really a great sports dude. I'm not kidding. Like Trevor, man, you guys are really great sports people, man. I mean, you utilize the platform correctly and you don't agree with everybody all the time. It's really great. Great. You guys are wonder. You got to remember something. In California, man, it's horrible sports talk. Horrible. Horrible. It's the worst. I mean, even Tampa was better. Tampa's a damn good sports city now. But dude, San Diego and LA and those places, man, it's just it's like cream puff radio. You can't tell your opinions because people get offended. Like if you go like this, watch this. LeBron James, man, that guy sucks out loud. He sucked out loud tonight. Oh, you're a hater. Why? Because he's a fraud? They don't. You know what? I mean, here's the sports in LA they care about. They care about the Lakers, the Dodgers, USC, UCLA. The rest of it's fill in. Rams and Chargers. They got to fight for everything they can get. Hey, and in San Francisco, it's the 49ers and it's the Raiders in Oakland. The Giants are a big draw. Now it's becoming now the Golden State Warriors, but that's faded. But that's Niners. It used to be at least. All the Raiders, that's right, they're gone. So it's just the Niners. It's limited too there, but it's a gigantic Giants city. From Joe? Oh, that's killer, man. Oh, Xander. I like Xander. Xander's good people. He's good folks, man. He's really committed on winning and getting his channel up and running. Hey, Trevor, get this. Muhammad, obviously you're on my YouTube channel now, but so like, hey, Trev, I think 10 days ago, I had 36 subscribers. Now I have 48. And I'm trying to get to 500. Long way to go. It's harder to grow that channel than I thought. I got to figure out. I'd love to get to 50 by Monday. I'm waiting for Maryland, Illinois. Get this. Hey, Trevor, get this. Frank Reich, myself, and Boomer Esiason emailed Maryland when Frank wasn't yet named the head coach of Indianapolis Colts. They interviewed him and they were like this: Frank, you're really a great guy. Da, 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 da. We're going to go in a different route. And I'm like, man, what a mistake. And I think the guy they got in there right now, I don't think he's very good. That Alabama guy, I don't think he's very good. They didn't give Frank Reich the Maryland job. They'll regret that forever. Boomer made a plea too, man. It's crazy. They wouldn't do it. I followed up and I said, listen, I know, what you guys, what happened with me and all that, but I'm just saying Frank Reich should be the head coach of your Maryland Terrapins. I do keep an eye on the program. I did win my first championship there collegiately. You can't take that away from me. I was on that 86 or that 83 ACC championship team. I was one of their better teams too. I played a lot too. I was 19 years old. No, what's up with the Danbury hockey team? Hey, Trev, it used to be really cool about playing against Danbury? When you play on their football field, you could see the prison from the football field. You could see the prison from the football field. And they put all government guys, like the people from Watergate all did time there. Yeah. So we're sitting there, they go, yeah, there's the prison. You can see the prison from the football field. They've got a good history, man. It is a white collar prison. Yeah, like that, right. But dude, they got a good history, man. That football program's been around a long time. That school's been around a long time. They're like blue and red and white, right? They're like blue, red, and white. I think that's their colors. I can't even believe I remember that. I like that high school. That's a dope story. I will check it out. Yo, thanks. Thank you. Yeah, okay. Me too, man. I was fucking with you. Yeah, good, man. All good. How are you doing today, brother? Good. Good for you, man. You're just sitting on the couch and just doing nothing. 2 weeks ago, I did Soprano. I did a Soprano run. Hmm. Huh? Hmm. Yeah. Nice. Nope. My wife turned me on to that. Dude, why did they can that series, Boardwalk Empire? Do you guys know what happened to it? Was it the writing strike? God, I love that thing. Oh my God, man. The Sopranos is one of the best series they've ever. Didn't they get seven? Didn't they get seven seasons out of that thing now? How many episodes does Star Trek have? I'm talking the TV series. No, 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 just the TV series from the 60s. Could be. Do you know that get this? Do you know that Steven Spielberg actually directed a few of them? Yeah. Huh. Well, they were Monday through Friday, right? Yeah, because if I remember right, they were Monday through Friday. When I was a kid, I remember watching it. Yep, yep. ABC, ABC, ABC had all the cool kids shows. And remember something, CBS had all the sitcoms like All in the Family and Jeffersons and all that. Happy Football Friday to you, Dan Sileo, USA Radio Network. We appreciate everybody coming aboard with us tonight. It will be a fun night, as it always is. And if you're joining us on our social media platforms, we appreciate that as well. Our Twitch channel, YouTube channel, thank you so much. That's how you can get involved in the program, throw some ideas out, topics out. We kind of take that as content. We roll it into what we're going to hit on here tonight. Obviously, a lot going on in the world of football and in the world of sports. I'd like to start this out by doing this here. Look, I know where we are. I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here tonight and I'm not going to bleed in the Big Sills politics platform. I'm not going to do it tonight. I'm just not. We all know the Biden administration did not have a very good day today. Okay? Not bringing any of that up. What happened with the strike and the FDA today. Let's do this. Let's take our world for these next, let's see, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and some on Monday night. and let's just cleanse ourselves after a horrific week of watching people trip over themselves. Okay? Honestly. And for the record, anyway, most of the news and mainstream media people aren't covering it anyway because they don't want to have egg on their face with some of the things that people were predicting that would happen has happened, actually. It's actually happened. But here, this is what I love. Our one thing, again, this goes into because the vaccination shots affecting my sports world, right? It's affecting people going to games. Today, the FDA did something that I was so glad to hear. And you know what? It's not because it's the Biden administration. You know what they said on these boosters? No, in a 16-2 vote, by the way, wasn't close. No, we're not going to push something through right now that we don't feel comfortable, no matter who's in the White House. Don't look at that as something that's a negative for President Biden. Look at that as something, wow, an actual government agency doing their job for Americans. Don't politicize it that it's bad. Who cares? It was a good day for Americans. They want to be safe. What's wrong with that? Do you know people were saying that there was like almost a revolt going on at the FDA today? Why? I thought we were supposed to follow the science. If people at the FDA are saying, at least today, who knows, maybe next week, they go like this. Okay, we're now going to clear it. Okay? Do you know that I have more faith in the FDA today than I do in any government agency we have in this country because of what they did today? I'm not going to put a face on the FDA, Republican, Democrat, Independent. I'm not doing any of that. That agency came out and was for us today, all of us, from Chris O to Dan Sileo to everybody listening to us right now. They did their job today. No, sorry, President Biden or President Trump. It wouldn't have mattered who was in the White House. They were not going to push a booster through. They don't feel comfortable. I sat back today and I went, wow, how many government agencies have been politicized so much? You see, the FAA was politicized. Buttigieg tried downing drones because of the look of the border. Had to go back and eat that, put them back up because Fox News was showing the border. The FAA was politicized. Believe me, that's going to be a continuing story. Agencies doing their jobs. And the most important agency right now because of this pandemic, especially like I said, with all the people that are going to these games. I'm watching a football game right now. I'm watching Illinois versus Indiana. Illinois versus Maryland. I'm watching. Nobody in the stands has a mask on. They're sitting in this stadium. And look, I'm looking at all the kids. I'm looking at all the students. I'm looking at all the fans watching this great football game. They're in Illinois. And I'm going, this is really awesome. No mask. I don't see anybody wearing one. Not at all. There's 65,000 fans. Look at that. I am looking at an entire stadium maskless. Okay? That's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Phenomenal as we go into this weekend. This sports on the weekends, man, it just takes your mind off of everything. Let me get into something else here too. I've briefly been touching about the candidates for the potential opening here for some big name guy to take the USC job. The USC football job is one of the biggest jobs in the country, or it used to be. But again, money speaks, correct? USC is one of those jobs where you can do this, folks. Do you know that you can probably give the guy a check and go fill in the number? The endowment is so wealthy there at USC, they could pretty much get any coach they want. And I would say this to you. Outside of the guys like Belichick and Andy Reid, they could probably have any coach they wanted in the National Football League. and they could write the check for it. And get this, not miss a minute about it. And you want to hear something? They're paying Clay Helton $10 million out the door. Do you know that's what his buyout was? $10 million. And they're not even sweating. They're going to have a 3-month search, and they're going to find the best guy possible. Let me tell you, here's my thoughts on that gig. I'd go out and find the best name I could possibly find. I'd go out and find the biggest name I could possibly find. I mentioned it yesterday. Would you hire Deion Sanders? Why not? Program like that needs an injection. It's right now, it's on a respirator. USC is on a respirator. Who in their right mind would have ever heard this? Kids transfer. Isn't that kid JT Daniels now the starting quarterback at Georgia, former Southern Cal guy? In my lifetime, if you told me I didn't want to play at Southern Cal, I'd look at you and go, you're crazy. Those were one of the golden tickets when I was a kid. Ohio State, USC, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Michigan. You got scholarship offers to those places, you were elite. Those are the elite places. Okay? And I'm not counting Stanford. I'm telling you, USC. UCLA, not elite. It's not an elite program. National championships if they won back in the 50s. Southern Cal's legendary. And you can't keep kids there. They don't want to stay. All the kids from Los Angeles now are saying they don't want to play in Southern Cal. What the hell happened? You know what happened? Southern Cal got comfortable with their reputation, which means this: their best highlights are in their rearview mirror and not through the front window. If you look at Southern Cal, when's the last time they were relevant? It's not a big job now, but you could turn that thing around in 10 seconds. It's a sleeping giant. If I were Brian Kelly, Notre Dame, I'd look at that job. By the way, my guy Mario Cristobal is the front runner to get the USC job. Everybody at Miami is telling me this. Sills, why doesn't Miami go after Mario Cristobal? Because you can't afford him. You can't afford him. Miami doesn't have the endowment that Southern Cal has. You're not going to pay all those assistant coaches. Do you know how much money an offensive coordinator at Alabama or, say, at Clemson makes? They make $3 million a year. Manny Diaz makes $4 million a year. He makes $1 more million than the assistant coaches or coordinators at Alabama and at Clemson. Why would those guys leave for some podunk job? And by the way, Mario's going to take a big job. Miami, it's not a job where you're talking about becoming a super, super wealthy guy like a Dabo Swinney who makes $10 million or James Franklin who makes $10 million. Hey, for that matter, look at Penn State. They pay James Franklin $10 million a year. Look at the amount of money that's being generated by these colleges to pay these coaches. I never want to hear anybody tell me paying the student athletes, this new NIL law, it's not enough. Oh, great, the kids make money now on their name and likeness. Personally, if you've got a boss that's making $10 million a year and you're making nothing, I don't know. That's not a good look, and that's not a good company. You can't hide any longer behind the economics of this thing called college football. You can't. You cannot hide behind it. Here, let me give this one to you. The coach that'll be hired at Southern Cal will make $10 million a year. I looked it up. That's more money. That's more money Then 90% of the NFL coaches in the league today, 90%. Why would I coach in the NFL? Coaching in the NFL, hey, it's a great gig. There's only 32 of those jobs. Coaching in the college ranks is a get over because you really don't have to be great. Look at Lane Kiffin. You don't have to be a great coach. You just don't. The amount of money. I'm watching this game tonight, Maryland, Illinois. Both these coaches make $3.5 to $4 million a year, and they're mediocre. They're mediocre programs. Kids now get to make money on their name and likeness. Okay. Yeah, whatever. Sure. All right. Let me go into this game this weekend. Big game for the Cowboys. By the way, one more time. Hey, I want to thank our local affiliate in Dallas. You guys are fantastic. All the tweets you guys over the last couple days have been throwing out. I want to thank you guys very much. It's been really dope. KBDT 1160, thank you. You guys have been pretty cool, man. It's been really great. Thank you for all the communicating back and forth on my Twitter page at Dan Sileo Show. It's pretty cool. But I want to throw something at you here. Cowboys got the Chargers this weekend, right? 0-1 dropped to the Buccaneers last Thursday night, right? Dak throws for a tick above 400 yards. I wrote this stat down, and I want to read it to you here. Since November 10th of 2019, do you know what the Cowboys' record is with Dak Prescott as a starting quarterback? What do you think it is? I'm going to tell you in a second here. Just because you pay a guy a boatload of money doesn't necessarily mean it's translating into winning. Got to start this weekend, Cowboy guys. You do. We'll hit on it next. You keep it here on the Dan Sileo Show. I have. Why, though? Oh, so you think it was hokey? Weird. Really weird story. You know what? You almost hope it does. Or he whacked himself somewhere. He could have went somewhere and Oh, so they're YouTubers. I didn't know that. Oh, absolutely. Westchester. Yeah, near Yonkers, and I was near the mall. Yeah. I was near the Westchester Country Club, and then we would go over to Rye Beach, and I'd go over to like Wingfoot, and the Mamaroneck. Yeah, really. Hey, I'm the badass over there. Yeah. Hey, listen. When you go to Mamaroneck, it's one of the toughest places on the island. Let me just say this to you. I was the king of Portchester. I was the king of Portchester, New York. So you think you know what you're talking about? Come to Portchester. I'll show you. Oh, absolutely, man. Dan Sileo, USA Radio Network. Welcome aboard with us here tonight. So much going on. God bless it. Greatness. Thank you. I know I go on my little tangents every now and then, I know I do. Then see, I'm that sports dude that you sit at hey, you know what? I don't want to say it. Am I Norm? Cheers. I can't be. The guy that sits there with a beer and he's got his beer nuts and he's like, "Hey man, did you see the Celtics last night? Holy cow. Bird sucked out loud last night, man. Mikhail couldn't get it done either." Nah, I was watching the Red Sox. He struck out 4 times. I mean, I'm one of those guys, man. And then you start doing this. Hey, see what happened in Washington today? Sports and politics, they always seemingly collide. Yeah, right, man. Huh? Why Boston? I don't know where I went with that. Cheers. That's right. Yes, sitting at the end of a bar. We're playing the theme of Cheers, by the way, for all my platform folks. No, I don't want to be Cliff. I want to be Norm because Norm drinks a lot and eats a lot. And so I want to be that guy. Absolutely. See, I want to be a guy that eats a lot. I don't want to ever be a guy seeing a mailman walks too far. Big sales ain't about walking far and carrying a bag. I don't want to walk far and carry a bag and then have to walk up to somebody's house and put like mail in her and be worried about a dog biting on me. I'd have to carry 14 sandwiches with me, especially I'd have to have at least 3 Jersey Mikes with me. Yeah. Well, oil of me, and I want to have a little Italian sub. How you doing? Yeah, I see the meatballs. I don't know because they give me agita when I'm on my walk. Meatballs give me agita when I'm on my walk. I can't have it, so I have to have like ham and cheese and provolone. And if you want, you can drop bologna on it. But again, it gives me agita when I'm on my walk. Yeah, just do me a favor. Just go light on the sauce. Right done. Yeah. Someone goes like this, Sills, but I don't want to walk far. So that means I can't be a mailman. I want to be Norm. I want to sit at the end of a bar. I want to work from home for 3 hours a day. I know this, Chris. Walk in there, grab my beer nuts. How you doing? Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 Pacific time. Yes, right here. That's a great theme for the Sileo show, where everyone knows your name. The Dan Sileo Show. How you doing? Bring your tums. Oh, and hey, and know this too, okay? That stuff may give me agita, but 3 devil dogs will fix that with a nice cold glass of milk. Oof. 3 devil dogs. No way. Or pink. The pink stuff, like it's like the chocolate milk, pink milk. Yeah, strawberry milk. No. Pepto Bismol. I get that. I told you after I have a couple of croissants in the morning, I've been sitting around too long. Ooh, hey, 22 White Castles, man, you better have a bottle of Pepto Bismol around you. And then get this. If you want, you can also do Kaopeptate. How you doing? I got to get the hell out of here. I will hit on Dak Prescott next. Keep it here on the Sileo Show. Funny. Oh, freezing cold. Not freezing, not froze, but cold in the yeah. Oh my God, really? Absolutely, everybody knows it. That's all good. I didn't put anything. I didn't put anything in there too that was worthy of coming on this show. Not necessarily. I mean, not necessarily. I did I like that. I mean, I thought the writing was too sophisticated. The writing was good, man. The writing was good. It was just a little bit. Yes, I do. I think yes, and I think they wanted to differentiate themselves with Frazier having more of a sophisticated crowd. I think you cut that Cheers crowd in half by doing that. And even though it could have been better writing and better production, it's still you alienated it because it was over people's heads sometimes. And not to say that it was bad, it's just it was a different appetite. And sometimes when you want to watch a sitcom, dude, I don't want to sit around and have to think about breaking down a sonnet. You know what I mean? You know what's funny? Kurt Cobain. I heard Dave Grohl say something how Kurt Cobain wrote songs, and he said this. This is what he said about Kurt wanted things to be quick and memorable, like catchy, and he liked catchy phrases in the songs. He didn't want you to have to overthink the song, and he wanted it to be catchy. And so that's why when you hear his songs, I mean, the words don't make any sense, but the rhythm was catchy. You know what I mean? And at its hook, right? And that's what Dave Grohl said. He goes, It wasn't. He didn't want much thinking at all going into those songs. Yeah. Yeah. Be great. Thank you. Hey, how's everything going there? Okay. I got an email from somebody named Amy. I said this. I go, yeah, well, it'd be nice if you put me on the website. She's like, I know, man. Can we give me? So they're working. She's working on it. I was kidding, kind of. I gave her an LOL. So I was only kidding. I wasn't breaking anybody's stone. Just so you know. Yeah. Dan Sileo, USA Radio Network. Always like to laugh on the show. No, if you can't laugh, get the hell out of here, man. Come on. I want people laughing and having fun. We need more of that, especially in my profession. This guy sucks. React. I'm done with that. Old school radio, I'm done with it. I am. By the way, see, Tom Brady came out and he said he wants to play until he's 50, or he thinks he can. Do you think Tom Brady can play until he's 50? He's 44 now. That's 6 years from now. You can't touch these guys any longer as quarterbacks in the league. I'll get to Dak Prescott here, and I know I've been teasing it twice. I promise you. Think he can play until he's 50? Two things will happen to Tom Brady over these next few years if he does continue to want to play in his current place with the Buccaneers. One, either a catastrophic injury is going to end it all. A hamstring injury, calf injury. When you get older, folks, your body breaks down. It's breaking down once you start living your life. When you're born, your body starts deteriorating. It just the law of human nature. Your body begins to tear down, especially when you've been playing such a physical sport for so many years. Tom does the best, and he is the best I've ever seen at keeping care of one's body. When he says that he takes care of it like a temple, he surely does. He most definitely has taken care of that body to a point where he's playing like he did 5 years ago. I think the other issue is going to be his wife. Giselle is one of the most accomplished people on the planet. We understand this, right? She makes more than him. She makes $50 million a year just running down a walkway. All of her endorsements, clothing line, the perfume line she has. She is a massive star in Brazil. She's a massive star around the world. She may not be that or as big in America, but around the world, Giselle's enormous when it comes to her star power. She don't need Brady's money. She's got her own money. I think she's worth like $600 million on her own. She's got a ton of it. She's the greatest model in the history of the world, at least financially. Don't you get to a point where your family does this to you? Hey, Dad, what else is there to accomplish? Doesn't it get to a point, you think, with Brady, after a while, enough's enough? Can you just put your hand up and say, I'm out? Especially while you're on top. Don't you want to do that? Or would you rather be one of those guys that you have to be dragged off the field? Who do you want to be? You want to be that guy that says, I love this game so much. It's such a passion that I have for this game. But do you continue to let it take its physical toll on you and the isolation that you have? Because let me tell you, when you're somebody like Tom Brady, and follow me here with this, when you're somebody like Tom Brady, you're constantly by yourself and you've got to think egomaniac wise, which means your kids growing up, you miss it. You know, it's funny. My wife told me this a long time ago. You know, my wife could be looking me in the face and talking to me, but I'm thinking of something else, either with my career or football wise, that I was not paying attention to her. And I don't mean to do it, but every athlete does that. Every person in our business, especially in radio or TV, they do that because they've got so many things going on in their minds and in my mind that you're constantly thinking about your career. You become an egomaniac. Oh, it's something about yourself and nothing about the people around you. You know, I told you this story the other day. One of the cool things that I do on a daily basis, I talk to my aunt every day. And I talked to her a couple times. It reminds me to be human. It reminds me, my aunt has a world. She loves talking to me. I love talking to her. And it reminds me to take my mind off the crap that's on my mind. Okay? It teaches you to be patient. And Brady hasn't done that. Look at what you're away from your family pretty much for 6 months. You think Tom Brady's throwing his kid around his house right now? Or do you think he's knee deep in Atlanta Falcons film right now, watching the opportunity that he has for him to start out 2-0 and get his opportunity to win another championship? You think he's throwing the kid around? You think he's sitting around watching a sitcom with his beautiful wife? Absolutely not. That's a stressful toll on a family. You've got to remember to be human in this process. And Brady's been afforded that because you know why? Gisele's also a well-driven person when it comes to success. So they were a perfect match for one another. But after a while, Gisele's even got to say this, Tom, enough, man. Enough is enough. Right? We've got to spend the rest of our life together. This can't be everything about your life. You know what I mean? It may be important to you today. Like, watch this. If Tom Brady, and I say this to everybody, if Tom Brady is defined as a man by his football career, Tom Brady did not live a great life. Tom Brady will be defined by the type of husband and father he is to his kids. What kind of person he is to other people around him. You know, one of the great things, and Chris, maybe you can even say something to this. Let me tell you the great people in our business. You know, the great people in our business are this. Boy, I really loved working for that guy. That guy was really wonderful. I mean, he was really a great guy to work for, and it was really a privilege to know him. Do you know how few people that I could say in this business, I could put them on one hand, that I could say that I enjoyed working with that guy? Because, am I right when I say this, Chris? Everybody in this business is so laser focused. I mean, they really don't take the time to really be somebody that really has a personal relationship with each and every single person out there. That's right. And just like sports, you get traded, you move. Look at Brady, goes from New England to Tampa Bay. I mean, you think, by the way, did you see what Tom did last year in the playoffs? He kicked his family out of the house so he could have it to himself as he got ready for the Super Bowl. That's kind of what they did. That's kind of like, again, like I was telling you guys. Okay? At the end of the day, Brady's got to do this. And with his wife, enough's enough. So playing until you're 50, why would he want to? He's accomplished everything there is. There's nothing left to accomplish. No, he's right. He'll pass him this year. He'll pass Drew Brees this year, and he'll have the all-time touchdown number this year. But you know what, though, Chris? I don't think that is really what's driving him. He wants that number 8. He wants that 8th championship. But Chris, I think he just really loves competing. I think it's just something. I think Tom Brady's afraid to retire. I think it's all that. I think he I do. I really think he enjoys it. And you know what, too? I think it has a lot to do with people dismissed him when he was at Michigan. At Michigan, they tried to replace him every single time they possibly could. They were never sold on him. They were always looking at other people in the room. Lloyd Carr never really liked him. Hey, he was drafted 199th when he came out. When he showed a little bit of propensity to win games, it got him drafted, but not high. And I think that always has been a factor with him, that he was overlooked, and it still drives him to this day. It was. It was at the Orange Bowl. It did. Yeah. But wait a minute. Okay. It kind of did, because he was the 6th. This guy was a 6th-round draft choice. There's only 7 rounds. So it really didn't open anybody's eyes that much. But you know what it did? It sparked an interest, because he did win that Orange Bowl. He did. But at Michigan, they were always trying to give the job to Drew Henson. Always trying to give the job to him. And he did win a national championship ring as a young kid on that Michigan team when they split the national title. Greasy was the quarterback of that team, but he did win a national championship. So Brady's driven by so many things, man. Playing until he's 50, I think this guy just loves the game. All right, let me get on to Dak Prescott now. Folks, let me say this to you about the Dallas Cowboys. I am a gigantic Dallas Cowboys fan. I love the team. I love the owner. I loved playing for them for my brief cup of water that I had with those guys. I really enjoyed myself being around the Dallas Cowboys. I loved living in Dallas. I met my wife in Dallas. I love the city. I love the West End. I love going down Greenville Avenue, having a fun time with my friends. It's a great sports town. One of the best places I've ever lived. I'm telling you. Sports fans were great. Hell, I loved going over to Fort Worth, going to the stockyards. You ever had a steak up there? Holy cow, man. That place is amazing. Dallas-Fort Worth is a great area. I loved living there. The Cowboys, obviously, are the centerpiece franchise in sports. Mark Cuban has done a sensational job in that city with the Mavericks. When I was there, the Perot family owned it. It sucked going to Maverick games. Believe me, nobody went. Nobody went. The Rangers were fairly decent, but nobody went. But the Cowboys, everybody went. It's a great franchise. And Jerry's done a spectacular job with the franchise. So this year, the expectations were really set pretty high, weren't they, after Dak Prescott got his contract? $42 million they gave the guy. 42. They're going to pay him $90 million this year because they're going to give him a $40 million signing bonus as well. Dak's going to make $90 million. He's going to make $100 million in salary alone. Do you know that Dak Prescott's the highest paid American sports athlete in the world? Last year, he was number 4. I didn't know he had that many endorsements, but when you're the Dallas Cowboys quarterback, You make a lot of money, don't you? All right. Do you know what his record is in the last 14 games as a starting quarterback for the Cowboys? He's 5-9. And personally, I don't think they're going to beat the Chargers this weekend. DeMarcus Lawrence is out now. What is that? Randy Gregory, Mr. Pothead, is now on the COVID-19 list. He's not going to play. How are you going to get to Justin Herbert? How are you going to? So after this weekend, if my prediction is right, they'll be 5-10 under Dak. Okay. Can you put all of this on Dak? Absolutely not. But all of this goes on Dak and Jerry. The quarterback gets all the glory and he gets all the heat. Jerry gets all the heat. Oh, wait a minute. Jerry gets all the glory but no heat. It's his team. That's been the problem with the general manager. There's been far few glory moments. And the heat goes to the players, not to the GM. You're 5-9. We're the quarterback that was supposed to save the day. If you don't win now, when? All right, folks, do me a favor. This goes out to our great friends in the Phoenix area. Hey, make sure you get to one of your local Valley Hooters. This weekend, it's going to be great. Arizona State. How about that Cardinal football team with Kyler Murray and how well it's played? Fantasy football, folks, they've got so many great giveaways. $3 Michelob Ultra Draft beers for you. Lunch specials. I mean, the Coors, they start at $8 for a bucket. This stuff is fantastic. Like I said, all the great giveaways. Make sure you get to your Valley Hooters. And you do me a favor. Make sure you tell them that your boy Sileo sent you. Tyler Heineke last night. Do you even know who he is? I'll tell you who he is. Next, we'll do it here on the Sileo Show. Would you make of that drone strike killing those kids? While you're saying the right wants Muslims killed? Yeah, but here's my problem is. Trump gets criticized for killing the right guy. Biden doesn't get criticized for killing the wrong people. I mean, that guy was a terrorist and he killed them. He got criticized for it, and nobody's covering this story. And I'm not either. I'm just going to I brought it up that one time. That'll be it. But I mean, it just didn't make sense to me. I'm like, it's such a bad look, man. And nobody's covering the border. I don't know about you, but Joe ain't getting out to a good start here. Wow, man, that's really wild for you to say. Yeah. No, that's a really, really good grade. Man. And then he gets shot down by the FDA today. Went out, we bought all these boosters, and now all of a sudden the FDA says, hang on here, guy. Miley has to resign, man. Has to resign. It is. And he's a danger. He's a danger to all parties. Dan Sileo, USA Radio Network. So Tyler Heineke gets an opportunity to play last night against the Gigantes. Pulls off a victory. You guys are like, who's Tyler Heineke? He's a guy that, I think he's from Old Dominion. They plugged him in after Ryan Fitzpatrick ended up getting hit. You know what I love about Ron Rivera, the coach of the Washington team? You know what he does? He puts his kid in. He looks him in the face. He goes, "You're my guy." Doesn't bring in Cam Newton. He goes, "You're my guy." He leads him in his third start to a win versus the Giants, a divisional opponent. Don't you love stories like that? Tom Brady got his start like that. Drew Bledsoe got hurt. In goes Brady. Kurt Warner got his start like that. Trent Green gets hurt in the preseason. They put in Kurt Warner. Do you know how many people have been given opportunities like that? Somebody getting fired, losing their job. Look at Dabo Swinney. Tommy Bowden got fired. Interim coach was Dabo. Now he's making $10 million a year. Get an opportunity and you have convictions and you believe in yourself. By the way, when he got to the podium, I'd never heard the guy talk. You know what? He sold me. If I was in that locker room, I'd look at Ron and go, we don't need Cam. This guy's good. They're 1-1 now. Coming off that game against Chargers, which they actually played good at home. I love stories like that. I don't know. By the way, break down Tyler Heineke's games. I don't know. I don't know much about him. I really don't. I just know this. He's winning. He played in that divisional game, or I think it was a wild card game last year against the Buccaneers on the Bucs' way to the Super Bowl. And he played those guys really well. Every game I've seen him in, he competes. Now, there's one thing that we'll always do this. When you're in the NFL, you got to have talent too. You know, it's one thing to say, well, this guy really tries hard. He works hard. He's one of the great. That's all great and whatever. But he's still got to win games, right? He's still got to win games. This guy did, man. Came back late in the game. They ended up winning. I'll say this to you about the New York Giants. The kid Daniel Jones can play, the quarterback for the Giants. But how do you have 11 penalties, all those offsides, right? The team looked unorganized, and that goes to the coach and the general manager. What are you doing on preparation to get that football team ready to compete each and every single week? That thing looked awful. It totally looked awful. When do you have that come to Jesus conversation with your GM if you're John Mara? What are you waiting for here? I mean, it's now 4 years, guy. You know, it must be great to get these GI bills where you could just you get it's like a GI bill, man. You get to go for 6 years. You got a plan and you try to, dude, I didn't know that when you make that kind of money, you get that kind of latitude. It's the NFL here. You got to win today. Now. Win now, man. This kid Heineke, man, I was pretty impressed with him. Got to tell you, hey, and if I were to rank now the teams in the NFC East, going into week 2, I'd say Eagles, Washington had the advantage of playing their second game. Cowboys at 3, and the Giants at fourth. Giants are a train wreck. Cowboys have to prove to me that they can win. Cowboys put up a lot of yards, but you got to win. By the way, we're going to look at all those games coming up here real soon. Week 2's got some significant games. That stat that I threw at you, though, that's 5-9 in the last 14 football games that he's started since November 10th of 2019. Dude, if not now, when? Cowboys got to start winning some games, dude. Okay? They got to start winning some games. All right. I want to look at week 2, some significant football games. We'll take a look at those football games. Also, 49ers and the Eagles, that is going to be one sensational football game, and an old school college football game is being played tomorrow. We'll reset and keep it right here on the Dan Sileo Show. Be right back, brother. Yes. Dude, the graphics in these games are they're off the charts. Yeah, right on, right on. No. I knew the guy who made the graphics too. His name was David Liskin. And he lives like I think at Pebble Beach. And him and John got together and this company made all this graphics and then they created EA Sports. EA is now based in Orlando. But they were first based in Southern California. I believe you're right. Oh, no, no, no. I'm sorry, Chris. They were in Northern California because I was at the studios for David Liskin. Yes. Yes. And Madden lives in a place called Blackhawk, which is right there in the Bay Area. Why? I guess so today. Yeah, no, that's yeah. He lives in a place called Blackhawk. It's like really a great place near Walnut Creek. Wow. Thank God, only people can hear me. Dan Sileo, USA Radio Network. Welcome aboard, as we always say. We are on the eve of football. Saturday and Sunday, college is Saturday. What do you like more, the college game or the pro game? What's your favorite? What entertains you more, the college game or the pro game? By the way, we'll look at all the NFL games at the bottom of the hour for week 2. What entertains you the most? Sound like Maximus, right? College game or the pro game? Man, I love college football. This weekend on Saturday, we got an old school game. You ready? Are you ready? Nebraska, Oklahoma. I can't remember the last time that game was played. Now, not my cup of tea. It's being played in September. That's a November game, traditionally. But guess what? Now, because of the movable cash register, I'm okay with it. Oklahoma, Nebraska. Wow. That just sparks great memories as a kid for me. I remember watching the greatest game of all time, 31-30 game, I think it was. I was like one of the first games I ever watched. I said, man, I want to do that. Inspired me. 2 rural cities, right? Norman and Lincoln, Nebraska, Norman, Oklahoma. 2 legendary football programs. One not so much now today, Nebraska. Still the game itself, though, sparks memories of what college football is all about. Those 2 programs were really what Americana was and what American college football was about. Midwest, Big 8 football. Remember the Big 8? Remember the Southwest Conference? When college football had those phenomenal conferences, and everyone was worried about winning, not so much about imaging. Isn't that kind of a microcosm of today? People are worried about the imaging and how you look. Back then, it was more about the context of what you did. That's what made that rivalry great. Here, the great rivalries in college football to me, and they don't play them anymore. They're going to get back to it now that Texas has gone to the SEC. So you'll see Texas A&M again. Wow, that'll be great. But think about the rivalries that we all grew up with. Ohio State, Michigan will always be, in my opinion, the greatest rivalry in college football history. It's Ohio State, Michigan. Now, am I jaded because I played in the FSU Miami game? Hasn't had the same punch over the last 10 years, maybe even 15 years that it's had in the past. But that rivalry was a phenomenal rivalry, and national championships were determined whoever won that football game. And I was privileged enough to play in that game. And I was privileged enough to play in that rivalry. So I'm jaded by that. Notre Dame, USC, that's a great rivalry. Goes back to the 20s. They play for a thing called a shillelagh. It's this like stick that was brought over from Ireland. And the winner of that series gets it. It's a really great rivalry. And that's one rivalry that Notre Dame has always kept. It's a great, phenomenal rivalry. Okay? What other rivalry? USC, UCLA, that's more of a West Coast thing. Because on the East Coast, I could care less about that rivalry. I never cared about that. It was an LA thing. I'm an East Coast guy. I was like, okay, I can learn to appreciate it a little bit more, but I don't know. Isn't that funny? Midwest, Ohio State, Michigan mattered to me. I watched that game every November. And especially as a kid, when I was a young guy growing up, I watched the 10-Year War, man. Think how privileged I was that I got to see Woody and Bo. Nobody was talking about national championships, but that rivalry rivaled anything of a national champion. Nobody cared. The winner usually went to the Rose Bowl, right? I wanted to play for Ohio State. I wanted to play for Woody. Ohio State, that was my dream scholarship was to go. And then when Woody got fired, I didn't want to play there any longer. You know, Earl Bruce, I didn't really like him. I took a recruiting trip. I just didn't like Earl. But the rivalries, I mean, Auburn, Alabama, the Iron Bowl, woof. That game, I didn't realize the significance of it, but it's the number one rivalry in the South in college football. There's no other rival close to it. And I know I just said Miami, Florida State. Doesn't have the same lineage and history of what Auburn, Alabama has. That Iron Bowl, man. You see, remember that guy got arrested for poisoning the tree on the Auburn campus? I mean, dude, really? That length you'll do? Come on now. It's a football game. Not to some, though. But Nebraska, Oklahoma, I'm looking at a highlight now for it. Oh, that's just one of those great games and one of those great times that what really makes college football special and different. It's everything that really is college football. Pro football is fantastic. There's a lot of civic pride. I do a stream show earlier in the day called the National Football Show. And I talk a lot to Philadelphia Eagle fans. And this weekend, you know what the great thing is? Tailgating at Lincoln Financial. All the Philadelphia Eagle fans are going to be there because they love this team so much. Think about the great fan bases around the country. Tell me where you think they are when it comes to sports. Philly, Boston, Chicago. Where else would you say? Denver? Sure. Pittsburgh? Yes. LA? No. Chicago, for sure. Cleveland? Yes. Even though they get their heart broken all the time. Boston fans are fantastic, too. Love their civic pride teams. Great tailgating. Isn't that great, too? Now people are getting back to being that and doing tailgating. Lincoln Financial's going to have a full house this week. Full house. All these colleges are doing it, too. I think it's sensational that everybody's getting back into a rhythm again where you're getting a chance to really be together as Americans again. Well, how many times have I said this to you? Sports is the only place in the country where we can come together and root for one entity. That's what makes what I do, I think, important. Because we're not going to sit around and talk about the storylines in Washington, D.C., whether this guy should be court-martialed or this guy here should resign or this guy should be impeached. Isn't it funny? How come I keep seeing this? It's the same story that keeps getting regurgitated over and over. It's just who has home court advantage. I said this before to you a couple weeks ago. Sports, you can't move the goalpost and you can't move the chains, even though you try to do it. I actually heard this for the first time the other day. Colin Coward, who is a big-time sports guy, say, this team actually got beat, but they're better. What? What an idiotic comment. You do a disservice to the moment. You do a disservice. Listen to me when I say this to you. You do a disservice to the moment of kids and men participating and competing at that particular moment to win, to get an upset. You diminish the moment when you say this. Well, the other team we all know is better. I look at you and say this. Really? Not that night. Trust me, I've been in games like that. I walked into a national championship game against Penn State, favored by 16 points. We got beat by 14-10. Everybody on the planet knows we were the better team. Do you know to this day, it's the greatest game I ever played a college football game in. Led the team in tackles. We dominated in every single statistical category. But when someone asks me, Sills, but you lost. You're damn straight. I never say that to anybody like this. Yeah, but I played great. I say it to my wife, but I would never say it to anybody in public like this because it's unbecoming of what Penn State did that night. Maybe at that moment, I wouldn't have given them the kudos, but years removed, I know what it's like to be in games where you upset somebody and then you disrespect them by not giving them their kudos for showing up that night and playing their asses off. Penn State played their asses off that night. We were the better team, but I don't get that pass. I don't get, and I don't believe that line. You know how many times I've been told, Sills, you guys were the better team. I refuse to go down that line because I don't subscribe to that kind of thinking. 2016 election, the 2020 election. I love how people move the goalpost on us. I do not do that. I am a scoreboard dude. Sills, you played great. I don't care. We lost. I'd rather suck in a game and win than play my best game of all time in front of 100 million people, which I did. I played in front of 100 million people that night on NBC. President of the United States was there. Ronald Reagan was there that night. Bob Costas was there. Everybody. It was the first time a national championship game had been played on January 2nd. They moved the game. And the next, what's funny? The next day was my birthday. And I'll never forget. I'm walking off the field, and I know I've told you guys some of this before in the past. Those Penn State guys goes, we finally beat them. We beat them. We knocked them off. We knocked off Goliath. I sat there and looked at that, man. There's a picture of me, too, on the internet with 5 seconds left. And I wasn't going to shake their hands. But you know what I had to do? I had to shake their hands. They came up to me and shook my hands and said, Sills, great game, man. You and Jerome were just tremendous. I looked at them and I said, congratulations to you. And then they went and celebrated. and I walked off with my head down. There's not a month, a week that goes by that I don't think about that night. Think about it all the time. Losing like that, walking off the field like that. But you know what I always said to my opponent? Congratulations. How come that's so difficult today to say to people? Hey, congratulations. How come that was so hard for Hillary to say to Trump? How come that was so hard for Trump to say that to Biden? What is that? You got to be great. I don't say you have to be a great loser, but you got to be gracious in the fact that it was a competition and you lost or you won. I hate people who don't acknowledge winning and losing. It tells me a lot about you. And you know what else it does? It tells me a lot about your character. You can't acknowledge winning and losing? There's something wrong with you. Hard Knocks is back. I know. We're supposed to wait until next camp, right? Plus week 2 of the NFL next. Great. Yeah, why is it so hard for people to acknowledge losing? I told you it's a partial impeachment of Gavin Newsom, because if you can make a new election, I mean, if you could try to get a recall, you basically impeached him, and you kind of halfway impeached him. That's right. That's right. And think about this too. If you really wanted to make more of it, and you wanted to go Democrat on this here, so New York lost their governor, and California had their governor almost recalled. I don't know about you, but if I were the Democratic Party and the DNC, I'd really have a heart-to-heart conversation with everybody that's around as we get ready for the midterms. Oh no, they're going to get banged up really good. Pelosi's going to lose. Pelosi's going to lose leadership. No. Yeah, but I don't really hear people pimping that. Who's pimping that? What politician is actually, I mean, do you really hear people? Hey, what do you think happens tomorrow? No, he's finished. What happened to him? Chris, what's going to happen tomorrow? Will there be any people show up? So do you think any of the Antifa people will go in there masquerading as no? Okay. Yeah, crying. Dan Sileo, USA Radio Network. I'll say this to you. I just saw a targeting play in the Maryland Illinois game, and I'll tell you, I think it's the worst rule in college football. I know some of you are going, wait a minute, it protects the player. Okay. So, do you actually think a football player goes to sleep at night going like this? If I get a chance to decapitate a guy, not figuratively, but if I get a chance to put my helmet inside of a guy's helmet and take him out, it may cost me my game and maybe another game that I'm going to do that. It's the worst penalty on the planet. Most wide receivers duck their head anyway to go after a football. It's almost impossible to tackle anybody today. So for me, I think the 15-yard penalty is important, and I think targeting is an important penalty. But I think the ejection of the player is absurd. Why are you ejecting the player? To teach him a lesson on how to hit? I think it's obnoxious. That guy, I'm watching the play now. That guy's not doing anything. And by the way, he didn't even hit his head. He hit his chest. It's not a targeting play. But because the guy acted, threw himself around, it's not. But he's going to get called on it because, you know why? We're in that time of our country right now where everything looks like, you know what? You got to protect the young. Look, it's the worst penalty there is in college football. The penalty's right, but the ejection of the player is completely wrong. It is completely wrong. By the way, we are going to, without a doubt, look at week 2, I should say, of the NFL here in a couple minutes. But the NFL came up with something here. And you know what? I wonder if the Colts were even in favor of this. So, you know the series Hard Knocks? They're going to have an in-season Hard Knocks. This is brand new. And the Indianapolis Colts are the team that's first up to the plate with this. I would despise this because things that are said during the regular season, it's a little bit more looser during training camp. There's a little bit more time. Everybody's not on pins and needles. There's not always a sense of urgency. Okay? Not always a sense of urgency when you're in training camp. You know, I'm not saying that you're not trying to make your team. That's not all I'm saying. But during the year, I don't need somebody putting a camera in my face. Actually, I think this is a bad idea. It's a bad idea. Because somebody is going to go off on somebody. Dude, get that thing out of here. I'm concentrating on what's going on. Now, maybe that's going to make for great TV. I don't know. But here's how I used to be. And you know what's funny? I tell people this all the time. I don't even know how I'm in the media because when people used to do this to me and make me get in front of like a microphone, I was always the biggest tool going. I would be more like this. What do you guys need? What is this? Well, Dan, what do you think of Florida? What do you think of Florida? It's a rivalry. What do you want from me? Well, how do you feel about going up to Gainesville? How do I feel about going to Gainesville? I feel about going up there and tearing their throats out. And Jimmy used to go like this. He used to put his hand on my arm and go like this to me. Easy. And I'd go like, he goes, calm down. But I would get aggravated because there's simple questions. But then again, I wasn't mature enough to answer them simple questions like that because I was so laser focused on wanting to go up there and kill those guys. Again, not figuratively. You know, I did this rant a couple years ago. And I did this rant, and everyone, I'm talking about sticking people with a knife and this thing and all this. And people were like, Jesus criminy. What kind of mentality do you think you have when you have to play in a football game? What do you think? This is square dancing? A hoedown? Hey, let's get to our friends here at podcasterwarehouse.com. Headphones, earbuds, anything you're looking for, 25% off everything that's on their website. Use the promo code Sileo, S as in Sam, I-L-E-O. That's S as in Sam, I-L-E-O. Shipping is free. $5 to $5,000. Podcasterwarehouse.com. That's podcasterwarehouse.com. Week 2 of the NFL, some significant games. Can everybody else that's on our social media platforms, We so appreciate everybody joining us tonight. We'll do it next. I know, man. I know. You don't ever have to worry about Sileo pulling up to dry dock. Just remember that, Junior. Yeah, you heard me what? Yeah, you did. Ugh. Why, thank you, my friend. There's a pretty good little football game going on between Maryland and Illinois. Champaign. That's the same field Red Grange ran on, and Dick Butkus. What a great name. Dick Butkus. Monsters of the Midway. No. Monster of Kongville. If I had one nickname, I wish my name was Killer Kowalski. No, Chris. I'm the Adidas ass kicker. Easy, kid. I did back in the day, but no more. I had some Reeboks. I may have actually had a pair of Feelers. No, see, no. See, I played in Nikes and Adidas. You played in PF Flyers. Nothing wrong with them shoes. I love that big green thing. It's a PF on the back. I love them shoes, man. Chuck Taylors? Who didn't have a pair of Chuck Taylors, right? You're kidding. You had a knockoff brand, the Chucks. No. Wow. Yeah. I mean, hey, if I would say you're Bob Hope tonight, just unbelievable. More like no hope, but it's so good. Yeah, really. Converse All Stars, Ken, were great. Those Converse low cuts were super dope. I never heard of them. No. Wow, it's just called Sid Rosenberg. Dan Sileo. Oh man, was that a big ouch here on USA Radio Network? See, if you called me Sid, though, I'd be under a Jaguar. So I stop. Hey, I stop. I'm friends with the guy. Let me alone. I love the guy. So you know what though? I will say this. I've taken over for two radio legends. I took over for Sid in Miami. Oh, and Neil Rogers and a guy by the name of Hacksaw Hamilton in San Diego. All three of those guys I took over for. And Sid was probably the toughest replacement because there were a lot of people that Sid's up at WABC now in New York. So, I mean, he's doing really well. He got out of sports and he got into politics. Actually, I think he had Trump on about 2 years ago. And he gets Donald Trump on all the time. I think it's Sid and Bernie now. He does a show up there. I love Sid. He got out of sports, though. You know why? Because he wanted to be able to do the things that I'm doing here right now on USA Radio Network. He wanted to intertwine sports and politics. You know how hard that is to do today? Program directors are like this in the sports world. Oh, we don't want to alienate anybody. What do you mean you don't want to alienate anybody? What are you talking about? So you mean you don't want anybody to pick a side? You mean the fundamental of radio is having a conviction in a take. You don't want us to do that anymore. Honestly, you think program directors, Chris is different. You think today want that kind of controversy where you're picking a side? Absolutely not. Not in my business, at least. Well, Sills, don't piss off the Democrats. Or I go, I'm not pissing. What do you think? I go on the air trying to piss off one party or the other? I go on the air with a take. And wherever that take lands, it lands. It just lands there. I mean, right? I mean, but do you know how hard that is to find a radio person like that today that does that stuff? There's companies actually out there telling guys, right, Chris? There's companies actually out there telling people to stay away from like election results and COVID and booster shots and all that other stuff. Right. Yeah, like this. Hey, watch this, Chris. Did you see the person who was in charge of the Arizona ballots? I mean, it's not the same person. If you look at her, to me, it's somebody. I mean, really, it's an Oliver Stone movie, so I don't do that. Back into the left. Thank you very much. By the way, that's a Kennedy reference. Thank you very much. Yes. Hey, thank you for all my friends in Dallas. Merry Christmas. Good night. Oh, man. Elvin Houston. We're good. All right. And it's not a band in Dallas either. All right. Let's get over to week 2 of the National Football League, too. I want to get to this here because there's some really great games this weekend. Let's start it out. You saw what happened last night. Washington ends up coming back from being behind late in that game. They end up beating the Giants 30-29. I really got to give it to Ron Rivera. What a great job of coaching that he did in that football game last night. I'm such a fan of Ron Rivera. But it's the Sunday games on the 19th. Buffalo at Miami. It's going to be a pretty good football game here. Remember something now. Buffalo loses in the opener versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Miami gets a win against the Patriots. So this is another divisional game. Miami, 2 divisional games in a row here. Right out of the gate. You could be 2-0 not only on the season, but in your division. I think Buffalo goes into Miami and gets it done. Josh Allen looked kind of okay in game 1. I thought Tua Tagovailoa looked pretty damn good in that win against the Patriots. This game's going to be close. But I think Buffalo wins this ball game. I think they're just more of a talented football team. And they go into Miami. It's going to be hot as you know what. It's going to be hot as Hades in there. And it's a 1 o'clock Eastern game. Good night. Whoa, is that going to be a warm one? Cincinnati goes into Chicago. Personally, I think Chicago is a train wreck. I think Matt Nagy may be the first coach fired in the NFL. I think he may be the first guy gone because he's starting Andy Dalton. Why that is, I don't know. Well, I personally think that Justin Fields is probably not ready. But Cincinnati looks pretty good with Joe Burrow. Mixon got over 100 yards rushing last week. And I really like what Cincinnati's doing. Cincinnati's got a good football team. They got a good running attack. They got some wide receivers. They're playing good on defense. Cincinnati may be one of your more surprise teams of the year this year. I got them going into Chicago and going into Soldier Field and winning that ball game. Denver goes to Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville is a train wreck with Urban Meyer. I said this to you before. I don't think Urban Meyer is going to be in the NFL long. He may only last 1 year. I don't know. I watched that game against the Texans, and now you're playing a good Denver team. The only thing you got on your side here is the fact that you're going into Jacksonville, and it's going to be hot as hell there as well. And that may wear out a little bit Denver going into this game, especially if it's close and it's going to go into the later part of the game. But Denver went into New York the first week of the season and beat the pants off the Giants. Denver's a good team. I think Teddy Bridgewater has a comeback season this year, and I like Denver starting out the season 2-0 on the season. How about David Culley? He gets the Houston Texans job, and then he doesn't get Deshaun Watson. For whatever reason, Deshaun Watson goes into another week where he's not going to be available for them. They've got to play Tyrod Taylor, who really played well last week against the Jags. They're going into Cleveland. And First Energy Stadium is got a lot of energy in it, for sure. Dog pounds in that place. I think Cleveland played a really good football game against Kansas City last week. And I've got Baker Mayfield and Cleveland bouncing back to a 1-1 record and beating Houston. But Cleveland's one of your better rosters in the NFL. I actually don't think that game's close. Rams and Colts. This is an interesting game. This is one of my top 3 games of the weekend. Rams looked unbelievable in that opener against the Bears. Matthew Stafford throwing the ball all over the yard. I mean, the windows that he was throwing in versus the Bears in the opener, I mean, he annihilated them. He really did a great job. Matthew Stafford could be your MVP this year. Now they go into a team that gave up a lot of pressure, and that's the Colts team. Carson Wentz has got to show people he can win some ball games here. That offensive line for the Colts gave up a lot of pressure, and the Rams have Aaron Donald on it. So for me, okay, I think the Rams go into Indy. As much as I want to pull for my friend Frank Wright, I personally think the Rams start out 2-0 on the season, and the Colts go to 0-2, and question marks are going to be all over the place on whether or not Carson Wentz is healthy getting out of the gate. The Raiders, they get a nice victory against the Ravens, and that was a big win in overtime on Monday night. They're on a short work week here, and they go to Pittsburgh. I mean, right? You go to Heinz Field, and you got to take on a Steelers team that went into Buffalo and won. Raiders are on a high still. I think the Raiders have a long way to go. It was a great victory against the Ravens. Really a great victory. Did a nice job. They caused 2 turnovers by Lamar Jackson. But Pittsburgh, there's just something about the way Mike Tomlin prepares a football team. Really a great football team. I should say this. It's not really a great football team, but it's really a great organization, is Pittsburgh. I got the Steelers winning this game. I don't know, something like 27-10. I don't think they're going to be able to muster up enough offense against that Steeler defense. T.J. Watts looked really good. The way they rushed the passer. I don't know. You're in Pittsburgh. You're not going to put up a lot of points. This game could be pretty interesting here. Patriots and the Jets. Let me say this to you. You think Bill Belichick has a winning season ever again? You think that at the end of it all, Belichick goes out not really having really a good team? I mean, they fumbled the ball against the Miami Dolphins in the opener. That's not a Super Bowl team, the New England Patriots. Actually, I think they're years away from being a Super Bowl team. Will Bill Belichick ever win again? He's never going to win at the Brady level. Tells you a little bit about maybe Belichick, no? They weren't prepared after Tom Brady, for sure. They fumbled around. They had to draft a quarterback for the first time in the Belichick era. I think the Jets got a really good player in the Zach Wilson kid from BYU. It's at MetLife. I don't think the Jets win, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets give them a game and make this thing closer than what it should be. I don't think the Patriots organization has got the same star power that it once had when Tom Brady was there, obviously. But, I mean, to lose it all like that, I personally just don't see it here. New Orleans and Carolina. I want to say this to you here about Carolina. You know, I look at how Carolina is formatting their team with Matt Rule. I think Matt has really done a nice job. I love Christian McCaffrey, but I got to say this to you about New Orleans and Sean Payton. Boy, one thing about Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston, how would you like to be this guy? So Jameis Winston is watching the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win the Super Bowl with his guys. He's sitting there watching Brady lead the Bucs with his guys, all of his teammates, all of his friends. In my business, it would be like a guy running in to my time slot and pulling 10 shares and me going like this, wow, that guy went in there and delivered the goods, and I couldn't. We all are this guy here. Hey, I don't mind my replacement. I just don't want him to do better than me. Brady wins Super Bowl with his guys. And I thought in the first game of the season against the Packers, the Saints went out on a mission. Jameis Winston had 5 touchdowns, not a boatload of yards, but he was smart, no turnovers. And they beat the pants off the Packers. That was a great performance. I'm rooting for Jameis. I got the Saints going into Carolina and winning that game. Jameis Winston's got a lot to prove, and he did a really great job. And if he gets 2 wins in a row here, Sean Payton has got to be considered Coach of the Year or one of the candidates for Coach of the Year. Be a great job if he's able to do that and turn Jameis Winston's career around. Wow. This is one of the more intriguing 1 o'clock games on the East Coast and one of the early games here. San Francisco versus Philadelphia. Philly looked great last week. They looked awesome against the Falcons. Jalen Hurts looked spectacular, and their team looked well coached by Nick Sirianni, first-year head football coach. You get the 49ers, who had a 24-point lead on the Lions. They gave it up last 5 minutes of the game. They kind of like floated to the victory line. Jimmy Garoppolo played well. Jimmy finally came out this week and said, I don't really like the quarterback coming in and taking reps for me and getting the touchdowns inside the red zone. So there's kind of a dilemma there and a conflict there at the quarterback position. I actually like Garoppolo. I think Jimmy G's a pretty good football player when healthy. I think he goes into Philadelphia, and I think they pull off the upset 27-22. I think San Francisco wins this football game. Atlanta and Tampa Bay. Are the Falcons really as bad as they played against the Eagles last week? They may be. That first-year coach, it just looked non-prepared. You know what I'm saying? It just looked like it wasn't ready. And the Buccaneers didn't play their greatest game, but know this about the Bucs. The Bucs did this. They gave up over 470 yards to the Cowboys, and they had 4 turnovers and still won. Don't you come out of that game going like this? Hey, man, I'll tell you what, I feel pretty good coming out of that football game like this, knowing this, that we didn't play our best ball game, and we rolled into that game, and we ended up still winning that game. And I know it was the home opener at Raymond James, but for me, that's a pretty good victory there for the Buccaneers. I think the Buccaneers blast the Atlanta Falcons in week 2 of the season at Raymond James, and they win this ball game. Minnesota, Arizona. I got to say this. I think Mike Zimmer may also be a guy that's in trouble getting fired, head coach of the Vikings. This Arizona team with Kyler Murray, here, this is what I'd love to do. And we do this all the time. Okay? I am so wrong about Kyler Murray, the head guy now with Arizona. He is looking like he is going to be a star quarterback in this league. I am such a fan of his now. I did not think because of his size, I didn't think that he was going to be able to go from the college game into the NFL and look the way he did. But he's looked great. He's looked absolutely fantastic. Fantastic. Just spectacular. 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 It was wonderful. We'll finish up Cowboys and Chargers, Tennessee and Seattle, Kansas City and Baltimore. We'll do it next. You keep it right here on the Dan Sileo Show. No, what? You scummy. It's not my squad. Guy says Gators to me. Chris O just told me to go F myself. He said your team's the Gators. Excuse me. So, I mean, Dan Sileo, USA Radio Network. Oy. It is Bama in Florida. Okay? It is Bama in Florida. But I can never root for those guys on I-75. Someone's listening going, what's on I-75? Well, it's that school up there, you know? They're known for like what's that thing called? Oh, the Gator Zoo. There's a Gator Zoo there in Gainesville. Isn't there a football team there? I think so. I don't know. I kicked their ass so many times I forget. Maybe there is. But they play Bama this weekend, and I don't really like Bama that much as well. So, I mean, whatever. Right? I mean, but I'm pulling for Bama to lose. Can I say that? That means probably people are going, well, that means you're rooting for it. Like the Gators. I'm not rooting for anything out of Florida. No way. But I'm not rooting. I want Bama to lose. Let's just say that. All right, we'll leave it there. 3 more games, and this is a significant game. The Cowboys. I threw this stat at you earlier. Dak Prescott, okay, over the last 14 games is 5-9. How do you take that if you're a Cowboy fan? I mean, how do you digest that? You just paid the guy $42 million. How do you take that? Do you think Cowboys are going in the right direction? I asked this fairly here. Aren't you what your record is? How come we look at the Cowboys in a higher light than what they've been over the last 14 games? Why aren't we seeing this with more clarity? Is it media that's jading this conversation here? Right? If you tune on any radio show or television show, do you know what you get? You get people talking Cowboys all the time. Now, I get they're the highest rated football team in America. I understand that as well as anybody. Them and Notre Dame, you put them on your television set, you're getting great ratings. Okay, you're getting great ratings. But does ratings mean that we kind of like omit who you are? You're 5. I mean, let me get that double. I want to double. You're 5-9. And I personally think you're going to go into Los Angeles at SoFi Stadium, and I think you're going to drop another nugget here. I think you're going to start the season 0-2, and guess what? Then you have to go back to Dallas, and you're hosting Philly, who may be 2-0 going into that game. And I would say it's a must-win if you're Dallas then. You drop this game against the Chargers, you're in a must-win situation because you can't start the season 0-3. And you just paid a guy $42 million per? Man, don't you think there's some questions to be asked on who the coach is, where you're going as an organization? Hey, and by the way, you think this is shade? 5-9 speaks to itself. I'm just actually raising the number here. You're 5-9. In Dak Prescott's last 14 starts, he's won 5 of them. Is that on him? No, but the criticism will be on him. I think Dallas loses this ball game. And you want to hear this? I think the Chargers blow them out. I think Dallas gets blown out here. Randy Gregory's on COVID. DeMarcus Lawrence is out. You got numerous guys in the secondary that are banged up. You got a poor secondary as is. I think you get worked over. Just me. Tennessee, Seattle. Tennessee got thumped last week. I was pretty shocked by Arizona. I mean, I was really shocked that football team ended up laying an egg like that. And Seattle did a great job against the Colts. I got Seattle winning and starting out their season to a 2-0 start. And then there's this game. How about this game? Kansas City and Baltimore. What a great way to finish off the Sunday slates of games. Do you know that Lamar Jackson, he is 0-3 versus Patrick Mahomes, but he's 30-5 versus everyone else in the NFL. It's in Baltimore. You want to hear something? Remember I said this to you. I'm pulling the upset here. I think Baltimore upsets Kansas City here. And I think they win for the first time, and Lamar evens their record to 1-1. So much stuff going on in the National Football League. So much more. We'll reset and keep it right here on the Dan Sileo Show. I have had a great time tonight, and I want to thank you. Thank you so much, Chris. I'll talk to you over the weekend. See you later. And you guys are wonderful. Thank you so much for coming aboard.